The following is a paid program and the views and opinions expressed are those of the host and other speakers and do not reflect the views and opinions of TVG Channel 28.
Acharyam mam vijaniyan navamanyeta karhichit namartya budhya suyeta sarvadeva mayo guru. He Akaran Karuna Patita Pavan Shri Krishna तुमसे विमुख होने के कारण अनादिकाल से हमने अनंत अनंत दुख पाए एवं पा रहे हैं। पाप करते करते अंतःकरण इतना मलिन हो चुका है कि रसिकों द्वारा यह जान भी अपनी भुजाओं के पसारे अपनी वात्सल्यमयी दृष्टि से हमारी प्रतीक्षा कर रहे हो, तुम्हारे शरण में नहीं आ पाता। O my divine beloved, causelessly merciful Sri Krishna, having ignored you since time immemorial, committing sins lifetime after lifetime, have made my mind so polluted, even though your saints are telling me you're waiting for me, with arms outstretched to embrace me, with a divine life to grace me, still I fail to surrender to you completely. All glories to Sri Radhesham, all glories to Sri Maharaji, all glories to all saints and sages, teachers of this glorious Sanatan Dharma, all glories to the Devas, all glories to all aspiring souls. Thank you for joining me. The question was asked, who am I? And the natural answer most people have is to give their name. My name is Arjun Das. But that's not who you are. That's just a name given to your body. Who am I? Sometimes another person may give, oh, I'm a carpenter. But that's just your vocation. That's not who you are. So we foolishly don't understand who we are because we think we are the body, and everything that's related to the body we consider to be who we are, and this is where our mistake begins. For example, if you are doing a mathematical equation and in the very beginning there is just a slight mistake, then through the entire equation everything goes wrong from then on because of that initial mistake. So in the same way, we don't know what is our purpose here because we don't know who we are. And we don't know how to satisfy our purpose here because we don't know who we are. You know, you never say I hand, you say my hand. You never say I car, you say my car. You never say I body, you say my body. So obviously what is mine is different from who I am. For I am conscious of what is mine. The body is an unconscious entity. Just like your car or my hand is an unconscious entity. But I, the subtle spiritual being, I am conscious of what is mine. So what is mine is always different from who I am. So three things in the scriptures have been elaborated by all the saints, is to identify the fact that we are eternal souls, a part of God. And Sri Krishna himself says that Mamam Shud Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. 15:7 of the Gita, he said that all souls are my parts and they're all eternal. And Lord Chaitanya also describes this fact by saying, Jiver Swarupya Hoy, Krishnir Nitya Das. Our constitutional position is that we are eternal servants of Sri Krishna. And therefore, our purpose as a human is to try to attain service for our beloved Lord and God, Radha and Krishna. That is what is our aim. And why do we want to attain God? Because then we will be able to fulfill our purpose of existence. And there are only two goals described in the scriptures. One is to end all suffering, and the second is to attain unlimited, eternal, ever-increasing happiness. This is the true definition of what happiness is. The scriptures describe true happiness as Yobai Bhuma Tat Sukham. That true happiness is unlimited. And once attained, it will last forever. You will never feel sadness again. And it is ever increasing. If you saw Radha and Krishna right now, when you have attained true happiness, they look very beautiful, charming. The next moment you see them, they look even more beautiful, and that continues to give ever-increasing joy. In the spiritual realm, everything gives ever-increasing joy. Why? While in this world we have observed a condition of diminishing returns in whatever you indulge in as a source of pleasure. When you're hungry, you didn't eat for 2 days, the first morsel of food is extremely tasty, delicious. As you get filled, the first morsel that you tasted, which was so delicious, now slowly, as you get filled, the food stops being tasty until you become disgusted with it. Why is it that when you're filled, the food is no more enjoyable? So this world's enjoyment has a condition of continuous diminishing returns. You eat chocolate, the first one is very delicious, second bar not so delicious, the third bar 10% delicious. If you eat 4, you get sick of it. A lusty man is yearning for a woman's to enjoy with a woman after his desire has been abated. When there is no more desire, his enjoyment is over. We need to, again and again, look with deep understanding, with deep contemplation on the sources of pleasure that this world has to offer. And then we will see it's a hope of joy, an act of futility. The wise enjoy their senses, but they do not consider that the sources of pleasure in this world is the all and all that there is to have. So the purpose of life is to end all misery and attain perfect happiness. Now we understand that happiness, the true definition is that it is eternal, everlasting, ever increasing, and once attained, remains forever. Now we understand that we are eternal souls, a part of God, and because God has unlimited happiness, He Himself, one of His names is Anand, which means bliss. Bliss means ever-increasing happiness. It's not that God has happiness only to give us. He is happiness. The scriptures describe that happiness is within Him, outside of Him, above Him, below Him, beside Him. He, in other words, is the personal form of happiness. And the world can give happiness to the body. And we, the individual soul, we can never be satisfied with the temporary happiness that we experience in this world. We will only be satisfied with the happiness that we can attain from God. So our pursuit in this life, our opportunity in this life, is to attain God, because it's from God that we can satisfy our yearning for perfect happiness. And the scriptures describe that no one can stop searching for eternal happiness until they attain it. And since we are eternal, as Sri Krishna describes, then we have lived countless lives, and we have had countless human forms. And we have not, since we are still here, we have not attained that perfect happiness, or we would have been in the divine realm called the Vaikunthas, that region that transcends the material universe, which is called a place free of all anxiety. Kunta means anxiety, Vai means no. As long as we live in material bodies, we're susceptible to anxiety. Each want is followed by a yearning in the mind, restlessness to fulfill what I want. So as long as there's want, as long as there's desire, there is anxiety. And no one can be peaceful if they're anxious. And sometimes we're not only anxious in a good way, sometimes we bear a lot of resentful thoughts for others and give ourselves a lot of bad chemical reactions in the body. They describe in the John Hopkins, there was a study in New York where they studied patients, 1,000 patients who were always resentful and had bad feelings of others, and one group that was free of such behavior, and they found that 90% of them have even issues with their bones. So there are psychosomatic consequences because the body-mind connection is there. What you think can make your heart race. Fearful thoughts make your heart anxious. You produce cortisol, and which is an inflammatory agent in the body. And when you're peaceful and happy, you produce serotonin and endorphins, which is a positive alkaline reaction in the body. So our thoughts can kill us. So one must understand that as long as there is yearning in the world for this and that, there is suffering. And so we know we are part of God. God is happiness. We can't stop wanting happiness until we get the happiness that God possesses. We know that is our purpose. And number 3 is the means by which we can attain our goal of loving and serving God, which will then allow us the experience of God's grace. And by God's grace, we can overcome our mind's yearning for the things of this world, because there's no other means of overcoming our mind except to surrender to God through the medium of a God-realized soul. That's the path that we need to take in discussing the means. One is, who am I and who do I belong to? I am an eternal soul. God is who I belong to. And not only I belong to him, he is mine. He is mine because through countless material bodies in various species, he has always been within me. For he is the soul of my soul. Just as I am the soul of this body, my soul is his body. God is always with us, eternally. The only separation is in consciousness of that fact. So now that we are conscious that God is with me, he is mine, I belong to him, and he belongs to me, and my purpose here is to attain him so that I can attain perfect happiness and freedom from all suffering. Now we are addressing the means by which we can do so. First, we need to understand that it's the desires in this world that bind us to this world. The desires of the body through our senses and our mind focus on the luxuries and comforts of this world, driven by our ego to do as well or better than others. We are constantly seeking the possessions of this world and the pleasures of this world, not knowing, ignorant of the fact that we are not the body. Sri Krishna tells to Uddhav, his disciple and his cousin, that the greatest fool, the question was asked by Uddhav, who is the greatest fool? The greatest fool is he who think and consider himself to be the body. So by that mistaken identity, he is now doing everything with the delusion that he is the body, and therefore every purpose he takes up, every intention he pursues is all for the wrong reason. Until you understand you're the soul and your purpose here is to free yourself of all suffering and experience perfect happiness, and it's only God that can do this for you, you will be misled again and again, birth after birth. So the question was asked by Arjuna. Now we need to understand the nature of the pleasures of this world, and if we understand that it is our desires that are binding us, we can understand how we can free ourselves. So Arjuna asked the question, Atakena priptayam papam chariti purushaha anikchana api varsneya baladeva niyojitaha. My Lord, why is it that man is suffering due to sins? And he is sinning without wanting to sin sometimes. We know this thing is wrong, but it seems that there is some powerful force from within me that is making me sin even though I don't want to sin. We have all experienced this. We know something, intellectually something is wrong, but our mind overrides our intellect and we are doing this wrong thing even though we know it's wrong. So the Lord answered, this is 336 of the Gita, 337 of the Gita, Sri Krishna answers very clearly. Kamesha krodesha raja guna samudbhavaha. Mahashano mahapapma vidyehinam iha varinam. It's desires only. Desires only. Born of the quality of passion. In the material heavens, people exist there, the devas, the angels exist in the quality of goodness. But there is a tinge of passion and ignorance there too. Here in this world, there is a mixture of passion and goodness. And we are predominated by passion. So all our desires are passionate. We have a greed for wealth. We have a greed for sex. We have a greed for the possessions of this world. We are naturally chasing after the pleasures of this world. And if we get money, all we will do is buy a higher quality of entertainment. That's all we'll do. The drunk and the broke man in the street, he will drink white rum, and the very wealthy man, he will buy a $1,000 bottle of wine. But the purpose is the same, is to get high. So in this world, we are chasing after things with a passionate mindset. And in hell, everyone is lethargic, belligerent, angry, bitter, all the negatives. And we see a symptom of all three in this world. Sometimes we have good desires, sometimes passionate, and sometimes we are ignorant. And, however, the quality of passion in the earth predominates. That's why everyone is running after the wealth with the hope that money will buy me all the things that I want, comforts and luxuries, and this way I'll be happy. But this is an exercise in futility, because you are an eternal soul, and only one who can give you eternal happiness, or what can give you eternal happiness, will suffice, and that is God. So in this understanding, Sri Krishna says it is desires only which brings you dissatisfaction. It's mahashano. It will never satisfy you, or else all the rich men would have been satisfied. And we know it is not so. They would have been at peace, but we know money can't buy peace. Money can't buy contentment, because there's each fulfilled desire leaves you still wanting more. And if you don't get what you want, which is the only other result of a desire, there's only two results. If it's fulfilled, you remain dissatisfied, more. And if it's not fulfilled, you get angry. Krodesha. This is your enemy. What is our enemy? Running after the desires of this world. The wise, Natte shuramate buddhaha, the wise do not run after the things of this world. They attain their bare essentials. Look at all the prophets. You see their life is one of simplicity. They don't try to accumulate the possessions of this world, for they understand clearly that life does not consist of one's possessions, but every word that proceeded from the mouth of God, which gives you an opportunity to attain God. So life really consists of the need and the purpose to satisfy the attainment of God. So my beloved children of God, Sri Krishna goes on to emphasize in 339 of the Gita, Avritam Jnana mitena, Jnanino nityavairena, Kamarupena kunteya, Dushpurena analena cha. That the danger of desiring things in this world, because you get caught up. As soon as a desire enters your mind, what happens? The anxiety to fulfill it begins. You have restless nights in thinking of how you will get it, where you will get it, how much it will cost, who is an impediment in your way of getting what you want. All of these things churn in your mind, and you become restless. You lose your peace of mind. So the Lord is saying in this verse that desires covers one's knowledge of his eternal nature as a soul and his real purpose in the earth. These desires cover the knowledge. That's why everyone is so consumed in running after the things of the world, because they think that God is of secondary interest. It is not so important to attain God as much as it is important to attain the things of the world. And if there's any thought of God, is that we pray to Him to give us those things that we want from the world. We have no interest in God otherwise. So these desires of the world covers one's knowledge, and it burns like an ever-increasing fire. Each fulfilled desire is like adding gasoline to a fire with the hope of putting the fire out. It's an exercise in foolishness. So how desires are born? The Lord says in 2:63, Dato vishayam pumsaha sangasteshu pajayate, sangat sanjayate, kamaha, kamat krodho bijayate, krodhat bhavati sanmohaha, sanmohat smriti vibramaha, smriti brahmsad buddhinasho buddhinasat pranashyate. Desires are born because our desire always, everyone is helplessly desiring happiness, because we are a part of God who is happiness personified, and we, the soul, cannot stop wanting happiness until we get it. So our constant meditation is what and who can give me happiness. So when we consider someone or something to be a source of happiness, we get attached there. Wherever our interest can be satisfied, our interest is happiness, we get attached there. And from attachment springs up desire. The more you think of it, the stronger the desire gets. And because we will never be satisfied, because each desire fulfilled leaves you wanting. And if you don't get what you want, you get angry. A seed of anger is planted along with each desire. And when that seed grows, sprouts and grows in full bloom and bears the fruit of unbridled anger, then the first thing that happens is one experiences delusion. With delusion comes forgetfulness, a confusion of memory. What is right or wrong is no more apparent. Look at a man in the heat of anger and see. There's a loss of reason. With a confusion of memory, with forgetfulness of right and wrong, there's a loss of reason. You can be a PhD even, but when you are grabbed by overwhelming anger, at that time a man murders, kills, says the worst things. Even in Parliament, they are fighting, these educated people. they're doctors and whatnot. But we see them, they're fighting, they're grabbing the mace out. It is a comedy sometimes when you see unbridled anger. So my dear aspiring souls, think of it. And so when there's a loss of reason, one can do anything. And with greed, a man can, to fulfill his desire, he will rob, steal, cheat, be cunning, outsmart, abuse his parents. And in anger, you destroy yourself and anyone who is around you. So my dear aspiring souls, next time we will continue in describing the means by which we can fulfill the attainment of freeing ourselves of all suffering, and the attainment of perfect happiness, which can only come from God, who we belong to and who we can truly consider my own. Because when this body is finished, all the relationships of the body is finished. But God has been with us since eternity, since beginningless time, and is with us right now and will continue to be with us forevermore. So He is our true relative, and from Him we can free ourselves of suffering and attain happiness. And now we are focused on the means. First, we are going to have to get rid of the desires of the world so that we can focus. Since we have one mind, we have to free ourselves of the attachments of the world so that our mind can be available to focus on God. Next time, we will continue discussing this. Thank you for joining me. May Radha and Krishna bless you and inspire you to study the scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita have all answers. Jai Jai Shri Radhe.
That was a paid program, and the views and opinions expressed are those of the host and other speakers, and do not reflect the views and opinions of TVG Channel 28.